Moving forward, Kelly, it gets a lot better here. Fascinating games. I don't know if this is the game that really increases our talent level on the field all that much, though. We have Syracuse on the road at Virginia Tech. The Hokies are 3-point home favorites with an over-under of 47 points. So it kicks off Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. We're in week 9, and I'm still not sure I know what Syracuse really is yet. To steal a line from the solid verbal that they use, I don't know where they got it from, but we'll know what Syracuse is definitively by December. And I think that's what we're going to have to deal with this team this year. Look, they're 3-0 against Western Michigan, Purdue, and Army. They're 0-3 against North Carolina, Florida State, Clemson. So they're beating the bad teams, worst teams, and they're losing to the better teams. But where do they fall among the rest of the ACC? I guess we're going to find out in this game, considering Virginia Tech is among that other ACC bucket. Syracuse, they're down their top receiving targets. Oronde Gadsden, the probably the best player on their whole roster, their tight end, he's out for the season. Trevor Pena, he's been out. He hasn't played yet. I don't know if he's coming back or not. That's not helping this offense at all. Garrett Schrader, he is the third most sacked quarterback in the ACC and perhaps most inexcusable. 25% of his pressures turn into sacks. He's really bad at avoiding them. He loves stepping into them. He loves not seeing players coming, holds on to the ball a little bit too long. And the result from that is he has 7 fumbles on the season, including 3 alone in that game against Clemson. 208 of his 430 rushing yards on the season, and 4 of his 6 rushing touchdowns came in one single game against Purdue. So if you're just looking at his aggregate stats, you kind of have to break down and realize, he had a heck of a game against Purdue and a whole lot of nothing outside of that. The bottom line is the offensive line just stinks. His team's 111th in rushing success rate. They're at just 3.2 a carry in their last games. On the other side, Virginia Tech, they're dealing with their own injuries in their own right. Grant Wells hasn't played the preseason starting quarterback since week 2. I'm going to be honest, I'm not really sure that's the worst thing in the world. However, what does hurt them is a star receiver that came in from ODU in the portal, Allie Jennings. He's out for the rest of the season. He's been out for a couple of weeks. That really hurts the offense. Kyron Drones, the quarterback that has been starting, he's been really hit or miss. He's very risk-averse through the air, which is fine, but doesn't really get the job done when it comes to needing to score a lot of points. But he's very dangerous with his legs. He's a really good runner. He's actually the team's leading rusher on the season. Syracuse has not faced a quarterback with as many designed rush attempts as Drone. Less than a quarter of his carries this season are actually scrambles. It's a lot of designed runs, gap scheme, counter scheme, zone, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Brett, this game has a watchability score of 6.7 for me. Both teams should be well rested coming out of their off weeks. And man, did Syracuse in particular need it. The Orange opened the year 4-0, Brett. They rose to as high as number 22 in my most deserving rankings before dropping their first 3 ACC games, as you mentioned. Granted, they were underdogs in each of those games as they faced Clemson, North Carolina, Florida State. Those are some of the best power-rated teams in the ACC. Virginia Tech also has a loss to Florida State on their resume, but the Hokies have wins over Pitt and Wake Forest in conference play. It's interesting, Brett, both of these teams face Purdue in the non-conference, with Syracuse winning on the road, Virginia Tech losing at home. The model has Syracuse -2 in this one. It's a 56% win expectancy for the Orange. Syracuse is number 46 overall in my power ratings. They have the number 37 defense, and the offense right now at number 60. That's the lowest they've been ranked all year in my model. Virginia Tech is currently power rated a season best, number 64. They have the number 51 defense and the number 84 offense. So both defenses should have the advantage in this game. It's the Syracuse defense, though, that's the best unit in the game. Virginia Tech offense, the worst ranked unit for me. That could be the difference, despite the fact that this game is in Blacksburg. At 2-1 in conference play, Brett, Virginia Tech is still in the conference championship game hunt. With a win, the Hokies would have a 12% chance to make it to Charlotte. You're laughing, but hey, you only have one conference loss. You're still in it. A win would see that their chances rise at 12% to make it to Charlotte. A loss would, confirm the laugh there, and it would probably eliminate them for all intents and purposes. Bottom line, I have Syracuse -2. It's a 46% chance that Virginia Tech stays in the ACC title game race.
I'm laughing because it'd be great. I would love to see Virginia Tech run the table and make Charlotte and then just get boat raced by either Florida State or, well, I guess they hung with Florida State a little bit. But we talk, I can't remember what we say on this podcast or what I say offline or whatever, but I remember in particular, I was very excited to when Syracuse got to 4-0 because they got to 7-0 last year. And me and I used to do this podcast with our editor, Steven Andres. We were licking our chops, and he's a Syracuse grad. I was just excited to start fading an undefeated Syracuse team. Never got the option to this year because they didn't get far enough to actually be adjusted enough, I don't think, in the market to be worth fading. But boy, was I excited when Syracuse got to 4-0. I'm going to be honest on this game. I think I lean over the total. Syracuse, they kind of shut down against the top 3 teams in the ACC, and North Carolina's defense has actually been like pretty solid this year, in contrast to what they had last year. Virginia Tech, they're hit or miss in scoring, but they do allow their opposition to finish drives efficiently. So I think we're dealing with a really low total with 2 defenses that I don't think either one is particularly very good, and a couple of offenses that they've shown the ability to score against lesser opponents. I would say both of these teams would be considered, quote, lesser opponents to the other. So, I think I lean over 47 for this ACC matchup here.